Have you ever thought about what really changes when you turn 80? Most people talk about the joys of retirement or the pride in watching your family grow, but rarely does anyone prepare you for the harder truths that come with living this long. The reality is, aging brings challenges that aren't often discussed openly. If you've ever wondered why this stage of life feels so different, you're not alone. In this video, we're going to take an honest look at 6 tough realities nobody talks about after 80. This isn't meant to scare you, but to help you feel seen and understood. Whether you're already there, getting close, or supporting someone who is, these insights can make a real difference in how you approach your days and care for yourself. Acknowledging these realities doesn't make you weaker. In fact, facing them head-on is one of the strongest, most courageous things you can do. Stick with me until the end because the lessons in this video are not just about surviving. They're about finding new strength, hope, and dignity no matter your age. Let's dive in. Reality 1. Physical limitations that catch you off guard. One of the first tough realities many people face after 80 is how quickly and unexpectedly physical limitations can appear. For most of your life, you probably took pride in your independence, driving wherever you wanted, carrying groceries, taking care of your home, or simply enjoying a walk in the park. But after 80, even the simplest tasks can become challenging almost overnight. You might notice that stairs feel steeper, balance becomes less certain, or your hands aren't as steady as they used to be. These changes can come without warning, leaving you feeling frustrated or even embarrassed. Take my friend Carol, who is 83 and lives in Michigan. Carol was always the go-to person in her family for help. She cooked every holiday meal and took pride in keeping her house neat. But last year, after a minor fall, she became more cautious about climbing ladders or lifting heavy pots. It wasn't just the physical pain that bothered her, it was the sense of loss that came with it. She found herself depending on others in ways she never expected, and that shift wasn't easy for her to accept. What makes these physical limitations so tough is how they challenge your sense of identity. You spent decades building strength and resilience, and suddenly those qualities start to feel like they're slipping away. The world doesn't slow down to match your pace, and sometimes even loved ones don't understand the impact these changes have on your confidence. Admitting you need help getting dressed, tying your shoes, or even opening a stubborn jar is a vulnerable experience that no one truly prepares you for, but there's dignity in adapting. Carol, for example, learned to ask for help when she needed it and found new ways to stay connected and useful. She started sharing her cooking tips with her grandchildren and focused on organizing recipes. Instead of preparing every dish herself, she embraced her limitations, found a new sense of purpose, and discovered that strength sometimes means knowing when to lean on others. These changes are difficult, and there's no shame in feeling upset about them. But the key is not to let physical setbacks define who you are. Adaptation is not failure. It's a new kind of wisdom. The truth is, everyone's body will change over time, but your value and dignity remain intact. Accepting this reality, while tough, is the first step toward creating a life that's still full of meaning and self-respect after 80. Reality 2. The weight of loneliness and isolation. Another hard truth that isn't often talked about is the weight of loneliness and isolation that can settle in after 80. As the years pass, you may notice your circle shrinking, friends moving away, loved ones passing on, and family members getting busier with their own lives. Even if you're surrounded by people, it's easy to feel invisible or forgotten. The loss of close relationships, familiar routines, or even daily conversations can make each day feel longer and emptier than before. My friend Norman, who is 84 and lives in New York, felt this shift firsthand. Norman had always been active in his community, volunteering at the local library and attending Sunday dinners with his children and grandchildren. But over the past few years, as his mobility declined, he found it harder to get out and join gatherings. One by one, invitations stopped coming, and Norman realized he was spending most of his days alone. The silence in his apartment felt heavy, not just the absence of sound, but the absence of connection. Loneliness isn't just an emotional burden. It can take a toll on your health as well. Studies show that isolation can lead to higher risks of heart problems, memory loss, and even depression. The hard part is that many older adults feel too embarrassed or proud to admit how lonely they are. You might not want to trouble your family or show vulnerability to your friends. But the ache of missing someone to share a morning coffee with, talk about your day, or simply sit in comfortable silence is a reality that cuts deep. There's no easy solution for loneliness, but acknowledging it is an act of courage. Norman decided to reach out to an old neighbor and began attending a weekly game night at the community center. Even if it meant asking for a ride, the simple act of being seen and heard, of sharing a laugh, or telling a story reminded him that he was still part of the world. He learned that it's never too late to build new connections or reconnect with old ones, even if it takes some effort. If you're feeling isolated, know that you're not alone in that feeling. Many people your age face the same challenge, and there's no shame in admitting it. Making a phone call, joining a club, or even striking up a conversation with someone at the grocery store can make a difference. Small steps matter. Sometimes, reaching out isn't about completely solving loneliness, but about reminding yourself that your presence matters to others, and that you still have stories worth sharing. If you're still watching this and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend doing so and turning on the bell to make sure you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating content that informs and inspires. Now, let's move on. Reality 3, the frustration of forgetfulness. After 80, one of the most unsettling changes many people experience is the gradual onset of forgetfulness. You might start misplacing your keys more often, forgetting the names of acquaintances, or struggling to recall the details of a story you meant to share. It's one thing to laugh off a lost item here and there, but when memory lapses become more frequent, it can bring up feelings of frustration, embarrassment, and even fear. For decades, your mind was a reliable storehouse of knowledge-holding family recipes, important phone numbers, cherished memories, and the lessons you've gathered over a lifetime. When that dependable resource begins to falter, it can feel like losing a piece of yourself. You may start to second-guess your abilities, worry about what others think, or fear that bigger changes are ahead. My friend Pauline, who is 81 and lives in California, knows this struggle all too well. Pauline was always the one in her family who remembered birthdays, sent thoughtful notes, and recounted stories with vivid detail. Recently, she found herself forgetting appointments, misplacing names, and losing track of what she meant to say in mid-conversation. Pauline told me that each time it happened, she felt a pang of worry, wondering if it was just normal aging or the start of something more serious. The tough truth is that some memory changes are a natural part of aging, but that doesn't make them any easier to accept. The fear of dementia or cognitive decline often weighs heavily on many seniors' minds, adding anxiety to every forgotten detail. Sometimes well-meaning friends or family brush it off, but for you, these moments can feel deeply personal. It's important to remember that you're not alone in this. Many older adults experience similar frustrations, and there are ways to adapt. For example, Pauline started writing lists, keeping a calendar visible on the kitchen wall, and practicing puzzles and word games to keep her mind engaged. She also learned to be kind to herself, focusing on what she could remember rather than beating herself up over what she forgot. If you find yourself forgetting more often, give yourself permission to slow down and take things one step at a time. Use reminders, write things down, and lean on the people you trust. Sometimes, sharing your struggles with family or friends can bring comfort and even some laughter. Most importantly, remember that your worth is not measured by perfect recall. The memories that truly matter, your love, your values, aren't so easily lost. Accepting forgetfulness isn't about giving up. It's about finding new strategies, practicing patience, and embracing yourself with compassion as you move through this stage of life. Reality 4. The sting of losing independence. One of the hardest truths to face after 80 is the gradual loss of independence. Throughout your life, you've been used to making your own decisions, setting your own schedule, and relying on yourself. Whether it was driving to the store, cooking your meals, managing your finances, or caring for your home, that sense of autonomy has always been a source of pride and comfort. When these freedoms begin to slip away, it can sting in ways that are hard to put into words. For many seniors, this loss doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in through small changes. Maybe a family member suggests you stop driving at night, or a doctor recommends using a walker. Or perhaps you realize that balancing your checkbook now takes twice as long as it used to. Each new adjustment feels like giving up a little piece of your life, and sometimes even your dignity. The hardest part can be accepting help when you want so badly to manage on your own. My friend Frank, who is 85 and lives in Arizona, faced this reality last year. After a series of falls, Frank's children gently encouraged him to move into a senior living community. While he understood their concern, he struggled with the loss of his home and the routines he had built over decades. Frank described the transition as bittersweet, grateful for the support and safety, but deeply missing the freedom to decide when and how he did things. Losing independence often brings up feelings of frustration, sadness, and sometimes anger. You might feel that others see you as less capable or worry about becoming a burden. These emotions are real and valid. It's natural to grieve what you've lost. The important thing is not to bottle up those feelings, but to find healthy ways to express them, whether that's talking with friends, writing, or exploring new hobbies that give you a sense of control and satisfaction. At the same time, it's important to remember that accepting help doesn't mean you're helpless. In fact, it takes great strength and courage to adapt to changing circumstances. Frank discovered that by letting go of some responsibilities, he was able to focus on things he still enjoyed: playing chess, sharing stories with new friends, and even learning to use a tablet to video chat with his grandkids. He realized that there's a different kind of independence in how you choose to respond to life's changes. If you're navigating this reality, know that you're not alone. Many others are on the same path, facing similar fears and finding new ways to thrive. Give yourself grace as you adjust. Honor the independence you've had and stay open to discovering new joys and freedoms. Even when life looks different than you imagined, if you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating great content to inform and inspire. Now, let's move on. Reality 5. The reality of grief that never truly fades. After 80, grief becomes a constant companion. By this point in life, you've likely said goodbye to parents, siblings, old friends, and sometimes even children. These losses don't fade over time the way we hope they might. Instead, they settle into your heart, shaping how you see the world and move through your days. The pain might dull, but it never truly disappears. Special occasions like birthdays, anniversaries, or even just ordinary moments can bring a wave of sadness when you least expect it. My friend Mabel, who is 83 and lives in Illinois, has lost her husband, 2 brothers, and several lifelong friends in the past decade. She says that while she's learned to keep going, there are still days when the emptiness feels overwhelming. Setting the table for one or hearing an old song on the radio can bring tears to her eyes. The hardest part, Mabel says, is that people often think grief has a timeline. They expect you to move on, to fill the gaps with new hobbies or relationships. But in reality, the loss becomes a part of you, woven into every memory and every hope for the future. Grief is not something you can solve or outgrow. It's something you learn to carry. Some days it feels lighter, just a gentle reminder of the love you had. Other days it's heavy and raw. There's no right way to grieve, and there's certainly no timeline. What helps is acknowledging what you feel, allowing yourself to remember, and finding ways to honor those you've lost. For Mabel, that means writing letters to her late husband in a journal, planting flowers in her garden each spring, and talking about her loved ones whenever she wants. Society often overlooks the ongoing reality of grief in older adults. There's an expectation to be resilient, to focus on gratitude, and to cherish the memories while looking ahead. While these attitudes can be helpful, they shouldn't erase the truth that love and loss are forever connected. Allowing yourself to grieve, even decades later, is not a sign of weakness but a tribute to the bonds that shaped your life. If you're carrying grief that never seems to fade, know that you're not alone. Many people your age understand this ache, and many have found comfort in sharing stories, creating new rituals, or simply giving themselves permission to feel. Reaching out to others who have experienced loss can bring unexpected warmth and understanding. Your sorrow is a reflection of your love, and it's something you never have to apologize for. Grief, with all its weight, is also a reminder that you have loved deeply and been deeply loved. That, in itself, is a blessing that no amount of time can erase. Reality 6. The unspoken challenge of staying relevant, reaching 8-0, and beyond brings with it a unique challenge that many never expect, the feeling that the world is moving on without you. Advances in technology, shifting cultural trends, and the fast pace of everyday life can sometimes leave you feeling out of step, unneeded, or invisible. For years, you may have been at the center of your family, your work, or your community. But now, it can feel like your voice holds less weight or that your experiences are no longer sought after. My friend Leonard, who is 82 and lives in Washington, worked as a school principal for decades. He was used to people coming to him for advice, his phone ringing with questions, and his days filled with decisions. After retiring, and as the years passed, he noticed fewer people reaching out. The grandkids grew up, the neighborhood changed, and suddenly, the world seemed to move a little faster. Leonard told me the hardest part was feeling like his opinions no longer mattered, as though he had become an observer rather than an active participant. The truth is, this sense of irrelevance is one of the quietest yet most painful realities of growing older. It's rarely discussed, but it weighs heavily on the hearts of many. You might find yourself struggling to keep up with new technology, feeling out of place in conversations about things that were never part of your world, or wondering if there's still room for your wisdom in today's fast-changing society. Sometimes, even the people who love you most forget to ask for your perspective or listen to your stories. But here's the important part. Staying relevant isn't about chasing every new trend or learning every gadget. It's about believing that your experiences still have value. It's about knowing that your insights can help others and that you still have something meaningful to contribute. Leonard found new purpose by volunteering to read to children at a local elementary school. The kids loved his stories, and the teachers appreciated his patience. In those moments, Leonard felt seen, respected, and needed. Finding relevance again may require effort and creativity. It might mean joining a new group, mentoring someone, or sharing your passions and hobbies with others. It's about choosing to stay engaged, to reach out, and to believe that you still have much to offer. Your life is full of lessons that no one else can provide. Whether it's a kind word, a shared memory, or simply showing up, your presence matters. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating valuable content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's wrap up with some final thoughts as we conclude our exploration of the 6 tough realities. After 80, I hope you recognize that you are not alone in facing these challenges. Every person who reaches this stage of life encounters struggles, whether physical, emotional, or social, that no one is ever fully prepared for. But there's great strength in confronting these struggles head-on, acknowledging your feelings, and reaching out for support when you need it. Maybe you see yourself in some of these stories, or perhaps you recognize a loved one's journey reflected here. Take a moment to honor the resilience it takes to adapt to physical changes, the courage it takes to build new connections, and the wisdom it takes to navigate loss and change. You've lived through so much, and every challenge you face is a testament to your perseverance and dignity. Remember, your value doesn't decrease with age. The experiences, stories, and lessons you've gathered are treasures that deserve to be shared. Embrace the changes, grieve the losses, and celebrate the victories, no matter how small they may seem. By doing so, you give yourself and those around you permission to live fully, honestly, and bravely. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating content that informs and inspires. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.